near the White House and all of that. But I wasn't expecting to see any in the hood where they say like all the real crime is. And lo and behold, this is how it has panned out. And the Washington Post has also acknowledged this as well. They are putting these National Guard folks and other troops in areas like Georgetown and to guard the monuments and all of these like nice touristy areas, and not putting them in the areas where they claim crime is supposed to be the worst. On top of that, they're ignoring the fact that crime has actually been down in Washington, D.C., all levels of crime, lowest in like 30 years. And so we knew that this was a performative measure designed to protect other people in D.C. from black people in D.C. When Trump had his press conference, what did he say? People from Iowa want to be able to come to Washington, D.C. again. In another press conference that he said, and nobody has paid attention to this, he actually said in one of his press conferences, I need to go to Congress so that we can get a crime bill. He just invoked the 1994 crime bill once again. And we all know the disastrous consequences that had on our communities. He didn't say 1994, but who else talks about having a crime bill? He lives in the 90s, late 80s, Central Park 5. This is his whole life. And so here in D.C., people are having conversations about how to protect their kids from going into these areas and engaging with these troops and other folks. They're concerned about how much more the police are going to feel unleashed. Those who are part of the business community are seeing a drop in reservations that are being made, so the businesses are suffering. They're targeting people who are delivery drivers and the like. Some of us may have seen that video over the weekend of a DoorDash or food delivery driver being attacked, shackled to the ground. We're seeing that happening as well. And these tourists are coming through the city, and they're just taking pictures with these guys. These guys are like guarding the National Monument. They're guarding the National Mall. Like they're also a tourist attraction. It's almost like Buckingham Palace. People walk up to the guys with the big, black hats and the red suits and try to get them to smile. Like it's almost like that. But it's really disgusting what they're doing here in this city. But this is a test run because Trump has the power to do so. And Pam Bondi is talking about, we're making 30, 40, 50 arrests a night. The average D.C. arrest is like 60 people a night before these guys even got here. Right. So, they're doing performative things. Howard just came back. We were out and about, the other night seeing what's going on, and it's disgusting. And then more people need to stand up against this. He is targeting black cities, as y'all have talked about before. I know all of these cities that have black mayors, he's targeting them all, regardless of the fact that crime is down here. Crime is down in Baltimore. Crime is down in many of these other cities. And we're doing it with intervention strategies because more policing does not reduce crime. Intervention strategies does reduce crime. But Trump and his ilk don't care about that. And lastly, I will say, how hypocritical is it that these governors in Republican states are sending National Guard troops to this city when the crime in their states are worse? Especially the area of Representative of Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, crime is worse in where he's from than it is in Washington, D.C. Why is Louisiana and all of these other places sending troops here? It's part of their experiment.
Absolutely. And also, we want people to know that National Guards are not trained to be police, okay? That is not what they're trained to do. And the fact that they're sending people from West Virginia with its very, very low African-American population, they're sending people from these other states that virtually are predominantly white states, and it's telling us something about what they're up to. I mean, because they're sending people in who aren't trained to be police, and worst of all, have no idea what it's like to interact with African Americans. And so I just think that we gotta, really look at the danger of all of this. But Donald, my Lord, I saw what they've been doing with, wiping out the encampments, telling people, you better get off the street or you're going to go to jail. Donald, what in the world has the National Coalition for the Homeless been able to do in this environment?
So we've done a number of things. I think kind of our biggest contribution has been to make sure that the general public has a clear understanding of what's happening here. So I personally and others in our network have done a lot of media. And one thing about the media, we don't typically see mainstream media talking about the issue of homelessness. So this week, it's ramped up to a level that we haven't seen, frankly, in my 30 years of working on this issue. But other people, we have our partners who are on the ground. They're doing as much as they can to get people out of harm's way. There is a rapid response hotline and social media account that is actually providing information as soon as there is some kind of encounter with people experiencing homelessness. Many of us went to an encampment demolition raid. It's not a sweep because, again, we don't sweep people. We sweep leaves. These are human beings we're talking about. And what we've seen is they've mainly been taking away people's possessions. To the extent that we know. So obviously, even though D.C. is relatively small, it's virtually impossible to be everywhere 24 hours a day. So when we hear through that hotline that there is some sort of interaction, we immediately get monitors out to that location, and they bear witness to what's happening. So most of it has been, taking people's carts and taking people's blankets and taking people's whatever meager possessions they have and just destroying them right away.
Donald, is the hotline public?
It is a signal chat, and mainly it's for people who are people who are actually doing the outreach on the ground. But I will say that our info at nationalhomeless.org we've offered as a way for people to let us know who have internet capability. If you send messages to that, we monitor that daily. And we'll do our best to get information to the other groups that are included in that signal chat. And there
Say it again.
Multiple. It's info at nationalhomeless.org.
Okay.
And then there's a number of other events we're working with all the national organizations, because the one thing I want people to know that are listening is that this is not an isolated event. This will be happening in other cities, as the administration and specifically Donald Trump said. We're going to do this in Baltimore, and we're going to go to Chicago, and we're going to go to New York, and we're going to go to Atlanta, all cities led by black mayors that have predominantly black populations. So, underlying all of this, people should understand that this is a performative effort to impact the midterm elections. So if there is a possibility to make those mayors, to embarrass them and make them appear to be to not be effective, although we see crime rates going down in every one of those cities.
My. And go ahead, Daryl.
And Dr. Dibinga, if I could, when I'm listening to Donald Whitehead and what he's saying about what's happening with those that are unhoused, that are in the district, and how they're being, moved and their stuff being taken, it also reminds me that in the district, folks aren't talking about the ICE stuff that's set up there for the Immigration, Custom, and Enforcement, where they actually had some car checks, right? These stop points where they were stopping vehicles and trying to find out people's immigration status and whether or not they could detain them. So it's all of this while we're getting ready to have all of these college students come back to the district. So my question to you, Dr. Bing, is, could you shed a little more information with regards to the ICE side of it, with regards to what people should be preparing for if they're sending their children now to the district to go back or for their first day of college?
Look, this is as tragic as I'm about to say right now. We live in a city where you got to carry your papers. And
oh my goodness,
what city, what country in history, historically, has that ever ended well for? We can talk Nazi Germany. We can talk Rwanda. We can talk South Africa. This is the creation of an apartheid state where you have to walk around being ready to show your ID. Now, I'm not the legal scholar about, you don't have to. You don't. Maybe you should, maybe you shouldn't. But you have to have your papers with you. These checkpoints have been designed, as you said, to stop people and check people's immigration status. And so on big intersections like, 14th Street, in D.C. and the like, people have had to deal with that. And it's been very real. They have made some arrests of people, and they are going to do more. And so you're literally walking down through a street where you can have Metropolitan Police, FBI agents, I believe DEA agents, as well as ICE agents. Mm-hmm. And you never know which one you're going to interact, and the way you interact with each one of them is going to be different. These ICE agents are also masked as well. And so this is a reality. And so students who come here, we also know that Trump has been targeting international students. And what if you just run into an officer who just doesn't feel like they believe what's being shown to them? And also be mindful of the fact that these masked ICE agents, there are also copycats out there who are doing the same thing and kidnapping women as well. There have been cases of that throughout the country. And so people need to be mindful that immigration portion of it is a big problem. And a lot of them, in the city are delivery drivers and do other types of services. And a lot of these people are disappearing from these cities. Like I said, this is why, these businesses are suffering. And when we talk about this whole thing with the unhoused as well, this idea of what did his press secretary said, like go find services or go to jail. We have to be mindful of Trump's bigger picture. One of his biggest funders are people from the private industrial prison complex. And when he got elected, he said that this is going to be a great benefit for our industry. And so these people who need mental health services or who are unhoused, they are not, what are they going to call up a U-Haul and say, hey, come get my stuff and move it down to Maryland? They can't do that. They are going to be going to jails, to prisons, which is going to be the same thing that's going to happen with these ICE raids picking up people off the street as well. They were already down here going into the businesses and restaurants, but now with the checkpoints just targeting random people off the street, this is where they will go. These are cogs in the machine of Donald Trump and his prison industrial complex. He doesn't believe in rehabilitation. He doesn't believe in mental health services. He believes in incarceration, and he believes in violent force. That's why when he was the president, the first time he was talking about shooting protesters in the leg when we were outside protesting Black Lives Matter. This is what he's about. And so that's why ICE is out here, and we have to be mindful of that as well. So I'm glad you asked specifically about ICE, because they're not playing out in these streets.
And they are actually, when I've seen a couple of videos of like these mass collection, this mass collection of law enforcement. The majority of the people I've seen, and you spoke specifically, Doctor, about 14th Street, the majority of those law enforcement officials were ICE officials. Certainly other parts of the law enforcement community were represented, but there was a huge representation of ICE, and that is a community that does have a lot of immigrants in the community. Right now, they're actually at a checkpoint on Benning Road as well. So, so it's growing deeper. And the other thing, I just wanted to comment on something the doctor said also, that there are not enough shelter beds in any community in the entire country. So if the idea that they're actually presenting is that they're offering people shelter and housing, that does not exist. The reason we have people unhoused in this country is we have never had the resources that rise to the level of the issue. And we don't have enough shelter. And more importantly, we don't have enough housing. And the last thing I'll say on this is that when the president presented his budget, he zeroed out all of the programs that effectively house people experiencing homelessness. And he wanted to institute time limits on subsidized housing where we already have a 7 million unit shortage.
And let me go back.
And let me just say real quick, some of us are using an app called Ice Block, which can, tracks ICE. So people should download that to know if they're going to be hitting intersections where there are ICE agents, So Ice Block is an app people can download in all of these stores. And then also adding to what was just said, Republicans also took $1 billion out of the D.C. budget that was supposed to be used for a lot of the services we're talking about today.
Yes, and that's what I wanted to talk back to Representative Reynolds. Are you still there, Representative Reynolds? Okay, I felt he might have gone. All right.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, I wanted to, doesn't this remind you that of how critically important it is to have black and other people of color Congress people? Because the D.C. occupation, he does not have the authority to do anything beyond 30 days. And in order for him